Hi, I'm Datum, and welcome to Not Mini Stories. Oh god, what have I done? Where's the consistency? I promise you, Mini Stories is coming back next month, or maybe in May, because I may need to skip Aries video since I'm getting married. Yeah, woo-ha! What am I doing? Anyway, I needed an airbrush for the next part of my D&D diorama, and thanks to my Twitch subs, I got it! So now comes the fun part, learning how on earth to use this thing. Of course, I wouldn't want to ruin my diorama to test the airbrush on that, so I needed some minis to offer as tribute for this test. Luckily enough, friend of the channel Chester Mask and I have been printing troops to play a Grimdark Future firefight by one-page rules. So I took his minis. What? No, I took my own troop of Saurian Starhost and prepared it for the test. May the odds be ever in your favor, tiny sci-fi dinos. Before I actually begin, let me tell you about my airbrush. I got one of the cheapest portable airbrushes I could find on Amazon, always keeping in mind that I wanted my airbrush to be dual action. Why? Because Ninjan said it, and he knows a lot more than I do. I'll leave the Amazon link in the description below if you want to check it out. After around a month, due to international shipping and dealing with customs, the airbrush was finally in my hands and I was ready to try it out. It came with multiple cups, but I decided to stick to the smaller one since I wouldn't use this on super huge projects for now. The airbrush comes with a portable compressor which can be charged via USB-C. Now, I know this kind of compressor isn't really the best, but it's cheap. Considering my budget was limited and that I was sure I would destroy my first airbrush in a couple of minutes, this was a perfect choice. So, the most basic thing I could have tried was doing a zenithal highlight, so I started with that. I even did this on two of Chester Mask's minis after painting mine to keep practicing. For this whole test, I grabbed Vallejo's new Game Color inks, using white for the zenithal. I have to say I did this twice. The first time I was too afraid of leaving no shadows, so I didn't get the zenithal coat to be nearly as strong as it should have been. The second time, however, it was flawless. After my minis were zenithalized, I decided to try adding a blue tone from below just to create some cool shadows, and it's a good thing I did this before the actual base coat because the blue ink was incredibly good at covering, maybe too good. And now, the main tone of my space dinos. Without cleaning my airbrush cup, I added a couple drops of yellow and a bunch of red, creating this reddish maroon that wasn't too interesting but offered a nice base for what I had planned. Now, remember how I said I would destroy the airbrush in minutes? Well, I didn't. Yay! But it did get clogged. Yay! So, being the extremely paranoid man that I am, I disassembled every single piece and cleaned it until there was no trace of paint at all. I started by pouring water onto the cup, then spraying while covering the tip so that the air would flow into the cup, making nice bubbles while pushing the paint back up. I emptied the cup on my paint water, cleaned it with a tissue and then took it off, also unscrewing the needle and nozzle cap, which I totally knew the name of and didn't Google it when writing the script, and cleaning each individually. Finally, I removed the handle to take the needle off and cleaned it by softly rubbing it with a wet tissue paper. Once everything was cleaned, I reassembled the airbrush again, started painting, and it ran out of battery! Yay! So, I took a break while charging the compressor and cleaned all the pieces again to avoid paint getting dry. After a moment, I reassembled everything again, started painting again, and finished! Well, not really. I finished the airbrush base for the minis. Now came the tough part, grabbing the brush. I started with an orange dry brush for the scales. These minis have so much detail that they are perfect for dry brushing. Which is good because I'm not painting each scale individually. The next step was to paint each scale individually. Why do I do this? Why? I did a quick edge highlight for the scales at the highest points of the mini, trying to focus the viewer's attention on the shoulders and heads of the Saurians. I wanted to take it even further with some yellow highlights, but at the moment I decided that that was good enough. Now that all the scales were ready, I decided to base coat the armor pieces with black and add progressively brighter edge highlights. This will make the armor look black but still shiny. Why black? Well, I will take a second to talk about the inspiration for this scheme. The idea behind this strip comes from a mix between Star Wars and the Genestealer cults. This doesn't mean a cult formed an empire, it's not that simple. I wanted my Saurian star hosts to be rulers over a conquered land, kind of like the Galactic Empire, dressed in similar fashion to the Death Troopers because, well, they're cool. The Star Host Empire would rule with an iron fist, making sure that nobody dared challenge them or their ideals. And while control over education and communication has a strong influence, there is one thing that can survive both of these: hope. And what drives hope into the hearts of men more than religion? The Star Host Empire decided to crush all other religions, imposing its very own beliefs onto their land and reducing the competition to mere cults. As a final step towards absolute control, the Empire created special units called the Star Children, exceptionally loyal Saurians who would hunt down cultists and destroy them no matter what. The rebels had a different name for them, however: Mass Crushers. This story isn't only reflected in the black armor. I decided to make the bases look like the remains of a building where cultists had gathered to pray. The Saurian Mass Crushers found these cultists and decided to honor their name by breaking into the building, tearing it down alongside any religious symbols while hunting their targets. And with this, these minis are now finished. It was honestly such a cool experience. The airbrush coats weren't extremely visible in the end, but I think they do show a bit, especially in the shadows. I'll make sure to take more advantage of it in future projects. Aside from that, I did learn that brighter colors like white or yellow need more air pressure to avoid speckling. Unfortunately, this compressor doesn't allow for pressure regulation, but it's something good to know anyway. The good thing is the speckling effect isn't noticeable at all in the final result, and it's not super bothersome in the zenithal either. Now that I have a bit more experience with the airbrush, it's time to go back to the diorama in next month's video. So, if you like this, please leave a like and comment below, and subscribe to the channel to make sure you don't miss part 3 of the D&D diorama. Take care, and thanks for watching.